And I just want to say something that I think is really important. There's a lot of doctors right now spreading the good news about vulvar hormone replacement therapy, vulvovaginal estrogen replacement, and or estrogen slash testosterone replacement. And these treatments are treating the root cause of a lot of different urogenital, vulvar, vaginal pain conditions and atrophy and stuff. So they're great treatments and they're spreading about how safe they are. On the other hand, if you're a patient and you're in any patient groups on Facebook, on Reddit, on Instagram, you see women and people with vulvas all week, all month, for years, saying that they tried Estrace, they tried Premarin, they tried Imvexi, they tried these other commercial products that their doctors recommended them, and they were so irritating. They made them much worse. They flared them. They made their skin even redder and more itchy and compromised and messed up, and they had to quit using the hormone replacement. And that was it. They didn't try again because they felt that it must be the medication that they had a problem with. So there's a huge gap here between doctors and education and care and patients. The inactive ingredients in these commercial products that I just listed, Estrace, Imvexi, Premarin, and their generic equivalents, have really awful inactive ingredients that absolutely matter. When you have compromised skin from years of atrophy, of insufficient hormones, of being dry, you have visible irritation like a lot of us do, your skin's already extra sensitive. And these products literally contain known allergens, ingredients that, dermatological societies and contact allergy societies have called out as being extremely irritating to all skin, not just vulvar mucosal tissue, which is more sensitive than other skin. So it's really important that doctors care about the inactive ingredients and the products that they're recommending patients with vulvodynia put on their vulvas. There's a lot of resources out there for us as patients. There's ingredients checkers, there's chemical sensitivity checkers. And so I'm going to take these mainstream products that keep getting recommended and I'm going to show you how what ingredients they have and how they fall in these. So here is a listing of the inactive ingredients of Estrace. Estrace is a popular commercial estradiol replacement product, meaning you can get it from like a regular pharmacy, not a compounding pharmacy. And it seems really popular with doctors to prescribe. And it's got a lot of ingredients. I highlighted just 3 that I know are super irritating. And I'm going to show you what they look like in my ingredients checker. So I use an app called Chemical Maze to check about the side effects and irritation levels of different ingredients. But there's a lot of different resources and websites that have the same information. Anyway, I highlighted 3: propylene glycol, sodium lauryl sulfate, and methylparaben. So even if you're just like into cosmetics and you go to Sephora, they have a new campaign where they're labeling products that don't contain a long list of known irritants. And these are all on that list. And yet doctors are telling us to put these things on our irritated vulvas. Sodium lauryl sulfate, I mean, if you're into your hair, that for 10 years, that's been a hot button ingredient that we want to avoid because it's damaging to your hair. So if it's damaging to something that's dead, your hair, how is it going to be on a compromised, irritated, vulva that's been atrophied and sensitized? Anyway, here's methylparaben in my app Chemical Maze, and potential effects is contact dermatitis, as well as some other things. And parabens in general are known to be irritating. Here's the listing for sodium lauryl sulfate. It says what the risk level is, what it functions as, potential effects, possible uses, what it's derived from. It's a very interesting app or a thing to do to look up the inactive ingredients. And again, you can see irritant contact dermatitis is one of the potential effects of this inactive ingredient. This is just the listing for propylene glycol, all the different kinds, and it brings up a really important point when it comes to chemicals and stuff, that like propylene glycol itself can cause contact urticaria, that's itching, eczema, so skin diseases, and it's very irritating. But other forms of this that have propylene glycol laurate, Dipropylene glycol, those are okay. Those are actually not irritating and they're safe. And I can actually attest to that. I am super allergic to propylene glycol. It causes a rash on my face called perioral dermatitis. But if I use dipropylene glycol, I'm fine. Here's the ingredients list for Premarin, another form of estrogen replacement in a vaginal cream that's commonly prescribed. And you can see it has benzyl alcohol, which I'll show you in a second. It also has sodium lauryl sulfate. It has glycerin, which is safe, but is also a known irritant and causes burning on mucosal tissue. Here's the chemical maze app listing for benzyl alcohol, potential effects, allergic reactions. So yeah, really go through those inactive ingredients. So if you found hormone replacement creams to be irritating, what is the solution? The commercial products that I mentioned earlier, Estrace, Imvexi, the other one, Premarin, have horrible ingredients. They irritate a lot of people. They make people's problems worse. If you have a thoughtful and educated doctor, hopefully in the first place, they recommended that you try a compounded medication. If you don't know what that is, that's when a special pharmacy called a compounding pharmacy takes the medication, in this case it would be estradiol and or testosterone, and puts it in a base of your choosing. But they're often limited to what they do. However, compounding pharmacies usually specialize in HRT creams. That's like one of the niche things that people go to them for. So they should be able to give you some different options. You can always ask them for a small sample of the different kinds of HRT products they have, like bases, and then you can test them out at home on your skin, on your vulvar mucosal tissue, on your vestibule, on your vagina, and you can see if they alone irritate you, and then you can find out for sure if it's the medication or it's the base. Before you do that though, I highly suggest looking up and asking them for the inactive ingredients of whatever products those are, so that you don't go ahead and put something with super irritating ingredients on yourself anyway and just find out the hard way. A lot of times the compounders have no idea what the inactive ingredients of the products are, and they don't even know where to find it. And I find this incredibly bizarre because legally you're required to inform people of the inactive ingredients of products. That's why they're listed on everything that you get at CVS. But I've typically had to just get off the phone with the pharmacist and go online myself and do a search and find out that way. So anyway, one of the most popular base creams used by compounding pharmacies is called VersaBase. And I know for years I got my estriol and estradiol compounded into VersaBase, and it always burned horribly. No matter how long I kept using it, no matter how much I healed, it always burned for quite some time. One day I went to a new compounding pharmacy and I used a new base, and wow, that burning was not necessary. So here's an online databases review of VersaBase. This is a website called SkinSafe, and they list, in a minute I'll show you the ingredients, but they say it's free from the top 91% of allergens, and there's no propylene glycol, parabens, sodium lauryl sulfate, etc. So great. Here are the actual ingredients of the product. Aloe, some other stuff that's hard to pronounce, going down. Let's go to methylchloroisothiazolinone and methylzolzolinone. Those two down there with the M's. So here's one of them in my Chemical Maze app. As you can see, it's best avoided and it can cause allergic reactions. And more importantly, it's banned in Japan. It's restricted in some cosmetics in Canada. Here's its friend. It's also banned in some cosmetics in Japan, also restricted in cosmetics in Canada, also best avoided. I don't know if these two ingredients are why VersaBase is so irritating, and not just for me, but for plenty of other people I've seen commenting in the Facebook groups and in Instagram and on Reddit and stuff. So as you can see, it's kind of the Wild West over here with inactive ingredients in vulvar HRT creams and in other vulvar products recommended by doctors and just on the shelves of stores. And each person is basically responsible for taking care of ourselves. We have to do tons of research if we have any issues and we want to try to resolve them, because we can't rely on our doctors and pharmacists and anyone else really to care about this stuff. At least that's been my experience. Like, I know more about this than the medical professionals who've treated me. just to sort of enforce the points I'm making, here is the Wikipedia listing of the Allergen of the Year Awards, which is an annual award voted upon by the American Contact Dermatitis Society, which is, you can look them up, but they are run by dermatologists. And one of the awards was formaldehyde in 2015, so that's the kind of stuff we're talking about. This methylisothiazolinane was the 2013 award entry, parabens won 2019, propylene glycol won 2018, and these are ingredients that we're being asked to put on our irritated vulvas and vaginas. So I've just told you that basically all the commercial products that you get from Rite Aid or Walgreens or CVS are problematic and irritating. And then I told you that the main, most popular compounding vulvar hormone replacement therapy product is also irritating. So it's time for some solutions. So I'll just start with the best hormone replacement base cream I've ever used in 10 years, more than 10 years of using vulvar hormonal HRT, and it's called Creme de la Femme. Here's from their website, or the website's called Amazing Solutions or something. And you can see that they list their ingredients and they outright state all the things that I've been saying. No glycerin, no fragrances, no parabens, no alcohols, and then they give you the ingredients, which are mineral oil, petrolatum, paraffin, and salicin. So this cream, if I've used it for a couple days, overcoming a little bit of irritation just from atrophy, I get no burning at all. This is the only cream I've ever used out of like half a dozen that doesn't cause any irritation at all when I apply it. I've used other topical medications in a base of just petrolatum, and that's an option for you too, depending on how flexible your compounder is. Like if you know coconut oil is great, you can try to ask them if they can put your HRT in coconut oil. Or I've also used HRT that's been over the counter in a combination of vitamin E and cocoa butter. That's been really non-irritating. You can ask them to work with you. Other people have said they've used other oils and waxes and stuff. But as far as compounded creams that are designed for HRT, this is the best I've ever tried. Before this, the best one I'd ever tried was called HRT Botanical by a company called Humco. That's the manufacturer. They also make a base cream for HRT called HRT Heavy, which was, I remember comparing the ingredients at that time, and yeah, the Botanical was like supposed to be super sensitive. That's what it was designed for. And the Heavy was just like normal. And they both burned a little bit, and the Botanical burned less than the Heavy. But those two HRT creams by the company Humco, I can also recommend. This is an over-the-counter non-prescription estrogen replacement product. It's estriol, not estradiol. Estriol is 8 times weaker of an estrogen than estradiol, but it still helps a lot of people. And if you're in the US, you don't need a prescription for it. And I've gone through their ingredients. I don't see anything that's problematic. And when I use it, I also don't have any burning, and I'm pretty sensitive. That's why I know about all this stuff. And so this is just my experiences and my research. I'm not providing medical advice to anyone. I'm just sharing what I've learned and what I experienced.